waterbed, resting on a waterbed. There's a river of water going underneath a couple of feet from us that comes from the north, Lake Okeechobee, goes down draining very slowly and drains in the Florida Bay. If you're in the Midwest, you're a farmer, the Midwest is the granary of the nation. And those farmers, when they're going to search for water, they have to dig meters and meters and meters down. It might take them a couple of days and a couple $1,000s to go through the bedrock, solid rock, to bore a hole to tap water. Completely different. In South Florida, everybody, has these sprinklers around, and it's very easy to get water. All these lakes that we have here are man-made for a reason. We are basically right at sea level or under sea level. So when we build anything, flooding is one of the main problems we have here. So you need to raise the level of the ground. So if there's flooding, if the water table keeps on going up, that it won't reach your house. And indicating dirt to raise the level of the terrain, that's how we produce those artificial lakes. If you ever flown out of Miami, you see that when you look out the window of the airplane, it's all dotted by artificial lakes. If you take the turnpike going north or south, you'll see at both sides of the turnpike big lakes. And these are done because these are quarries to harvest the limestone to do cement. Any lake that starts for the first time, any quote-unquote virgin lake, is said to be oligotrophic, which means nutrient poor, oligotrophic, and that term is in the review. So that means that it's not enriched in organic matter. As the lakes or body of water mature, they become basically eutrophied. Eutrophied means that they become enriched in organic matter. Where is this organic matter coming from? The organic matter comes naturally from the washout of organic matter when it rains, for example. So you have leaves who are decomposing right now by the decomposers, and all those organic matter leaches into the soil. When it rains, that water washes all that organic matter, it ends in the body of water. So eventually, little by little, even without the help of man, the lakes become enriched naturally as a process of natural evolution. But there is a problem when there's too much enrichment. When the lakes, for example, become over eutrophied, there is a problem in that you have a lot of growth of organisms, too much beyond what a lake can handle. So think about Florida, right smack in the middle of the panhandle of the state of Florida. Not the panhandle because that's at the top. On the central Florida, you have Lake Okeechobee. And around Lake Okeechobee, you have a lot of farmlands. For example, the big sugarcane lords or barons that immigrated from Cuba in the 60s settled in that area. They bought acres of land and turned that land, the natural land, into sugarcane plantations. There are other plantations around. So what they do is, in order to, and they settle around there because they have the right access to the water of Lake Okeechobee. They were very fertile lands. But in order to grow any crop, you know that you need pesticides to control pests, and you need pump the water out of their fields and pump it back into Lake Okeechobee. So what came in was just clear water, and what came back into Lake Okeechobee was black as tea. Why? Because that water was pumped from the plantations into Lake Okeechobee, so it was full with dirt, but together with the good dirt, you had a lot of fertilizers. Eventually, Lake Okeechobee became very eutrophied, very rich. It happens to these lakes too. When the lakes become too rich in nutrients, what happens when you add fertilizers to your lawn at home? It grows a lot and very green and rich, an overabundance of plant proliferation. So that's going to happen to the lake. The lake has microscopic algae. Remember all the protists that we talked about? The phytoplankton of that lower proliferate. And eventually what's going to happen is that the top of the lake is going to turn green as split pea soup. Very thick, and that's going to create a carpet on the top of the lake that is very rich in plant life, in microscopic algae. The top of the lake is going to be loaded with oxygen, but as we go down the lake, what's going to happen? What's going to happen to the light?
It's going to be blocked off.
It's going to be blocked off. Right, you can't get much light. So what's going to happen is that as you go down into the lake, there's going to be less light available for other plants that are attached to the muck to photosynthesize. And eventually those plants are going to start dying off. So if the lake waters are not circulated, the lake eventually might die to a process called algal bloom. Basically is when you have an overproliferation of algae that traps the oxygen on the top, because that's where they are located at. They block the sunlight from reaching the lower portions of the lake. So as you go down and down and deeper, especially in big deep lakes like Lake Okeechobee, the bottom part of the lake is going to be very dark. It's going to be full of organic matter that's being decomposed. Everything that dies, all the fish that are going to be dying, are going to be basically trapped on the bottom of the lake. Why will fish die? Because you're starving them of oxygen. If the waters don't circulate, you have a gradient of oxygen. A lot of oxygen in the top of the lake. As you go down, you have less oxygen with the lowest proportion of oxygen in the bottom of the lake. The fish, I don't know if you've seen, for example, in TV during the drought season, and also when we have algal blooms in the lakes, the fish literally come out and they open their mouths to grasp oxygen, okay, to breathe. Okay, so they're choking down there. As those fish start dying, they start going down, another organic life starts dying, they start going down to the bottom of the lake. And a lot of the decomposer, a lot of the bacteria, for example, there are going to start turning that organic matter, decomposing that organic matter. And in the decomposition process, a lot of noxious and detrimental gases can be produced. And that's the worst case scenario. You have a layer of decreasing oxygen, increasing noxious gases in the bottom of the lake. The bottom of the lake is going to be very rich in organic matter, but oxygen poor. How you can think we can turn this around? How can this be turned around? Plants? Well, we had plants, and that was part of the problem. Too many of them on the top. If you have a lot of nutrients in the bottom, but a very few nutrients in the top, and very little oxygen in the bottom, but a lot of oxygen in the top, you mix it up, shake it like a cocktail. You have to shake these to spread the oxygen evenly through the lake, all right, and spread the nutrients in the bottom evenly through the lake. And how does that happen?